want to talk a little bit more about some bright spots on your team this year. And I don't think we can go without talking about Ryan Lindgren and Adam Fox. They had a little bit of familiarity with them before they got to the NHL level. But once they got there, just the meteoric rise of them as a defensive pairing. You know, just last week we were talking about how hard it is to adjust to the NHL. These guys, they made it look pretty easy. Just, can you take us through their evolution and how they just complement each other so well?
Yeah, they really are a microcosm of our team in a lot of ways because, as I touched on earlier last week, that, you know, when our season started, there was just a lot of uncertainty. Nobody knew, you know, what we had, how good we could be. And I think when you looked at our D-core, there was some question marks. And, you know, obviously Lindgren being our organization, we had some familiarity with him. We called him up last year. He did a solid job, but there was still – we weren't sure how good he was going to be able to be at this level. And obviously Adam Fox had such an outstanding career at Harvard, you know, almost winning the Hobey Baker. We knew we had a really good player, but we didn't know how quickly he was going to be a really good player at this level. And I think, you know, once we put these two guys together and they showed what they were capable of doing at this level, I think our team really took off. And, you know, both guys bring something so different to the table. You know, obviously Lindgren brings that defensive aspect to the game. He plays with flair. He plays with aggressiveness. He plays with toughness. And Foxy's obviously got that world-class skill and that high hockey IQ. But that being said, there's also a physicality and a toughness to his game that complements what he does offensively. And as the season evolved, we weren't in any way hesitant to play these guys against the other team's top players. And, you know, I think with, like I said, I think these two players are really a microcosm of our team in a lot of ways.
Quinny, like a good coach, I went back to the video from last week's show. 3 times I watched it. And what I really liked, though, Quinny, was when you talked about the D zone and you're doing different things and you're looking at what's working around the league. From a goalie's perspective, we're always trying to read off our own teammates as much as we're reading what the other team is trying to accomplish in the offensive zone. So what I really want to talk to you about is when the defenseman goes down on one knee, I thought as a goalie, even when I was playing, that the passing lane gets pretty clearly defined. And now you're also screening me oftentimes. And when the stick is down on the ice, it's easy to sauce or pass over it. So you're giving these skilled guys time and space. So that was the D zone, and I think that's terrific. Helps the goalie. Now, let's reverse it. On the offensive side, how are you going to make the goaltender's job even more difficult as strong as your offense was this year? Is there anything that you're going to adjust?
Well, one of the things that we felt, and we started doing a better job of it, I thought that we have a tendency to be a little bit too perimeter. And, you know, we've got to spend more time inside those dots and inside the hash marks. And, you know, I thought as the second half was evolving, I thought we were doing a better job of that. Scoring goals hasn't been a problem for us in a lot of ways, but I also think we can be more productive offensively. I thought we did a better job of playing more attack hockey, not thinking about, you know, shooting a puck just to score. I thought we did a better job of getting pucks on net. One of the things we like to say is pass it to the goalie, actually get it, pass it to the goalie, create havoc, create a little bit of a rebound. We're asking our one guy to be at the net and actually be the goalie. Don't just be there, act like the goalie, take his eyes away. You know, little things you can reiterate to your team that, you know, on top of, as we touched on last week, don't just go somewhere because someone's telling you to be there with more of a purpose. And I thought we did a better job of playing quicker, playing a little bit faster, having a little bit more of a net front presence, and shooting more pucks. I mean, you know, our problem is we want to score the highlight reel goal, and we've scored plenty of them this year. But as the season gets down to the nitty-gritty, and if we are fortunate enough to get back and get into the playoffs, there aren't a lot of pretty goals. And I think if we can balance our skill with a little bit of a hardness and sandpaper approach, we're going to be more productive offensively.
You know, it's just been such a fascinating season for you guys so far. You know, we talked about those defining growth games and those moments also off the ice as well. But I feel like when you look at games, you got to put that Islanders series in there. You beat them 3 out of 4 times, 1 blowout, 2 nail biters. How much growth did you just see from your team in that rivalry alone?
Those games are fun to be part of in Valley. Obviously, you can attest to that, especially now when both teams are pretty good. And there is a true rivalry there. You know, we played them at a critical time of the season, in particular for us, because we were making a surge. They were a little bit of a tailspin. You play 3 games in 2.5 weeks. There is carryover from game to game. And, you know, to go into Long Island and win 2 games the way we did, scoring with 1.5 minutes to go to win the first one, and then giving up a goal late to have them tie it the second time around, then winning in overtime, especially that last game when we won in overtime. And I remember, the atmosphere in that building was electric. I mean, coming out of that tunnel, you could feel the crowd, and 30-40% are Ranger fans and 60% are Islander fans, and it's just the rivalry in the stands. It's real. And one of the things that after that game, Panarin and I were talking, he was talking about the atmosphere. He said, I don't even know if I played in playoff games with that type of atmosphere. And one of the things I said to him, I said, yeah, and the impressive thing was how our young players reacted to it. And he said, boy, I didn't even think of that. He said, I know how I felt in that situation, and I've been in the league a while, but, to touch on Fox and Lindgren and Hedl and Kakko and guys like that, to play in that game and stare that game in the eye, stare the Islanders in the eye, not back down, play with that type of aggressiveness and confidence, I thought really, really said something about our team and what we were capable of doing.